Welcome to Event Up, the place where people enthusiastic about events stay in the know on the latest trends within the events industry. Live, hybrid, and virtual experiences. From virtual events to conferences, award galas, and everything in between. Here's your host, Amanda Ma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Event Up. I'm so excited because today we're going to talk about all things consumers and why consumers are exposed to thousands of marketing messages every day. So today we're going to be asking the important questions. How can brands show up for people instead of simply showing up in front of them? And helping us explore that today is someone who's built her career around creating meaningful connections between brands and people they serve. So joining us today is Genetta Robinson, a senior marketing strategist, brand consultant, and award-winning marketer with more than 20 years of experience helping brands connect with audiences through culture, community, and authentic storytelling. Throughout her career, she held leadership roles across organizations including NBC Universal, Disney, Hulu, and Burlington Stores, and today advises brands on building authentic audiences engagement through inclusive marketing, strategic partnerships, as well as purpose-driven brand strategy. Genetta, welcome to Event Up. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So one thing that really stood out to me while preparing for today's conversation is that your career has really lived at the intersection of culture, storytelling, as well as community and people, right? Like we connected right away because I feel like we speak the same language. And I think that's exactly why this conversation today is going to feel so timely, especially brands are having endless ways to reach consumers and really trying to build that genuine relationship that seems harder than ever because we're so digital and now with AI. Right. So I would love to kick us off with my first question for you. What does it mean when a brand is truly showing up for people rather than just marketing to them? Literally, I was in a room of marketers today and we're talking because someone mentioned I want to work for a brand I truly believe in rather than just selling people more stuff they don't need.
Yeah, totally. Well, first, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. And to answer your first question, I think that's the key. You don't market to people, right? You interact with people, you engage with people, you have conversations so you know what really drives their energy or moves their jelly right into their jam. So I think it's really just having that, and I'm over this word authentic, but having that authentic connection and conversation of what really matters to them, that then you can create your product or brand to a service into what brings them gratification, joy, and excitement.
That's incredible. You worked at some of the biggest companies, Disney, Hulu, right? We heard of them. What makes consumers feel genuinely connected to a brand, especially because you work at some of the biggest brands before?
Yeah, across the portfolio of Fortune 100 and 500 brands that I've had the opportunity to interact and engage with and strategize and lead is that it's not being there just to, and everybody says it's just to check that box, right? It's how much do you really care about me as a consumer, as a person, as someone that you want to invest in your brand, your content, your creative, and you really want not just my attention for the moment, but we want to create a memory that's going to be something that's even more long lasting. So, you have those used to be called water cooler conversations, but now people are talking about things, across their social platforms or, for me, I'm still chit chatting with folks and I'm in the line at the grocery store. So it's really making sure that you're not doing something just because, but you're doing something because of. Because I know that you enjoy sports, I'm going to bring you the best sports broadcast you've ever seen. Because I know that you like this talent, I'm going to make sure that every time this talent comes across your screen or their voice comes across your ears, it's going to be the best representation of them. That's going to remind you why you want to hear more and see more of them more and more and more, right? And then, of course, that leads to the big wins that are strategic wins and, business results and impressions and subscriptions and all that jazz. But it's really just connecting to what somebody wants and then showing that they actually need it to have their best fulfilling moment in times. And again, not just moments, but memories that are more long lasting. Whether it was Burlington stores with retail or NBC and sports or CBS and radio or and Disney and Hulu with more content, is really just about what it's really like. What do they want to see more of and hear of, and how can I encourage and remind them, like, I'm not doing this just because, I'm doing this because of, I know that's what you want and what you need.
Yeah. And I think a lot of brands you work with also consistently try to build that loyalty. So what are you seeing the brands that are super successful, what are they doing?
Things that are more long lasting, things that are not just in that traditional cultural timeline or box, right? It's, you're a woman beyond the month of March, Women's History Month, right? You are Hispanic Latin American beyond September 15th to October 15th. You're Black African American beyond February 1 through 28 or 29. So it's, how do we relate and engage with consumers, individuals, as a parent, as a sibling, as a child, every single time we have opportunity for another touch point or an event to really show them, like, we not only did we listen to you, but we heard you. we heard you, or we had our extra ears on when you were just doodling along. And so, you use that data and that research to see where people are clicking next, how long they're staying on that video. You can tell from magazines that used to be left in the doctor's office and those that walked out the doctor's office, which ones are really gaining those articles, are really gaining that traction. And so following all those cues and then making sure you're following up on those cues so that they have something to come back to.
That's awesome. So the consistency really counts, right? Not just, like you said,
sure.
especially targeting a certain community or demographic. It's not just about showing up once, but consistently throughout. Yeah. How do you define meaningful audience engagements, Genetta?
Meaningful audience engagement is, I'm going to pull from a quote that I love. I'm just going to paraphrase it from Maya Angelou, right? People may forget what you did, may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so when someone comes across, especially audience engagement, when it's like experiential or, in real life, whether you're doing a big symposium or a conference in a booth, or whether you're handing out swag, whether it's a bag or a fan when it's hot outside, it's the opportunity for someone to interact and engage. So it's making sure that people know that, again, like, I've thought about this before I arrived. I'm thinking about it now in real time, and I'm going to think about this moment afterwards, so that I can make sure that I perfect it even more for the next time that we meet at this place at this time, that you gain even more value out of the reason for us connecting. So it's not just turning it on or turning it off. It's turning it on, watching it, turning it off, then talking about it, and telling somebody else to turn it on so you get more people to watch it and talk about it and turn off and go back to it again. So engagement is not just a one-way street. It's, putting out the content and hearing from the consumers how they felt about the content, and then re-triggering it so that it still gives what they're looking for when they come to engage in whatever you're offering out to them.
Can you share a past experience, right? I think we always talk about brands that tell stories well, actually connect with the audience well. So I would love to just kind of dive into your past 20 years, like one of the case study or a recent case study that did that really successfully.
Awesome. One example, actually a more recent example that did that really successfully, was my Giving Flowers campaign and starting Black Stories Always at Hulu. And so we were traditionally doing cultural tentpole month celebrations, Black History Month, Women's History Month, etc. And we had just brought on a new content provider, and we were doing even a more dedicated push around the content, yes, but also our content creators. And so instead of just doing Black History Month, I renamed it to Black Stories Always, as a real commitment to showing and celebrating that we're going to have Black content beyond just the month of February. And we want to really showcase and give light to all the different parts and people that make these moments, this content, these experiences happen. And so I leaned into just, my growing up, and there's an old song in the Baptist hymnals called Giving My Flowers. And so it's about giving flowers to people while they are still here and they can see them and they can smell them. not just when it's time for the memorial or, they've passed away and they've gone on. And so I made a dedicated effort to give flowers to our content providers and our talent right now in the moment. Like, hi, I want to let you know that I appreciate what you did. I want to acknowledge that you mentored me. I want to showcase that you taught me something that I would have never known. I want to know that you brought me under your wing and you helped me fly. And so the first year of the campaign, we brought in our content from our newer content releases, and we literally had them give flowers to another person in the industry or even outside the industry. Some folks, gave flowers to their parents or to their agents, or some gave flowers to their children saying, thank you for encouraging me as a mommy to do the best that I can do. And we reached out to florists across the country to actually deliver flower arrangements to all of our talent and our content creators, just as a way to just say, thank you. And that's an example of a campaign that lived on the screen, yes, but off the screen, of course, and even I think in people's hearts and memories and minds. And then now to just see that even more folks are giving flowers. I heard of an organization the other day that says I was like, that's amazing. You wait until a certain dedicated moment to say, thank you. Thank you so much. I want you to see how you made me bloom. The flower. Another example would be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the film Waiting to Exhale. Oh my goodness. Well, the first part is that it was a 30th anniversary because I'm only 2 years old. But the second part is the iconic just tonality of the entire piece of not just the soundtrack and the scenes, but the feeling, from starting from the book of Terry McMillan's book, and of course in the soundtrack of Babyface and all the awards and all the accolades that they received. Part of the story was a group of women who were the best of friends, who were truly honest and candid with each other, right? Sometimes over a good cry, sometimes over a good glass of sparkling something, but it was really just that connection and collaboration. It was like, I want to tell you what I really think. I wanted to make sure you know how I really feel. And again, it comes back to just like engaging and connecting, like, tell me what you really feel, or tell me what you really think. And so that we can then react and respond to those things, again, to just serve and pour out and really make sure people know that like how you feel really matters to me. And so that campaign started with our concert group kicking off the anniversary concert, and we were blessed to be able to, and some of the key talent still, and have a really intimate conversation with them about, the importance of relationship building and supporting each other. And it's not competition, it's camaraderie and it's community. And then saying that, like these stories matter. And just because your story's not produced and it's not going to stream, it's not going to broadcast, doesn't mean you don't have a story. Doesn't mean you don't have something to share that's going to give flowers or support somebody, elevate somebody, or help them to literally and figuratively exhale.
Well, love the Black History Always. I think that goes back to what you were sharing earlier, that consistency, right? Not just during Black History Month, but Black History Always, and Waiting to Excel. Oh my gosh, don't want to age myself. What a great case study. I love it. Was there any other lesson learned from that example, Genetta?
I think the lessons that I learned are that it's when you're celebrating something, or when you're really honoring something that is deeply rooted in community and culture, that you have to make sure you take the time to bring everybody on board. Everyone doesn't have the same background, the same upbringing, the same understanding. So you want to make sure that you level set enough so everybody feels included, right? I'm an inclusive thinker, not just market inclusive thinker. So even with me being a type 1 diabetic, like it's those things come into every part of the work that I'm doing and strategizing. It's like, okay, how can I make sure that folks understand that we're doing this event at this time of the day to make sure that everyone can be at their peak energy level and their peak understanding, so that they can really take in and gravitate on the messages that we're delivering to them. And so with Waiting to Exhale and or with, giving flowers, or even with like doing campaigns years ago at Super Bowls or at retail stores, it's It's noticing the key moments, the key times of when folks are going to be most attentive and most available to hear from you. And that takes a really important time of consideration, discussion, and collaboration, level setting with team. Working in isolation is not my favorite thing to do. People talk about working in a vacuum, and a vacuum just cleans one part of the floor at a time, not the entire space that you need to set up for the next event or the next conversation or event or whatever. So the lessons have been learned, just like, invite everyone to the room. Everyone has a chance to speak. Everyone has a chance to hear. Everyone who's there may not say anything at that moment. They may still be processing. You have to understand everybody has a different way of learning, a different way of receiving. And so make sure you give space to breathe. After that meeting, hey, just want to go around to make sure, was there anything else that we didn't cover? Anything else that came to mind, post that comment or post that final recap that was sent out? Did we miss anything? Okay. And then you just, look at everything you have and just say, okay, now that we have all of this information, whether you want to call it data or research or talking points, where do we go from here that is authentic, that is consistent, that is mindful, that is careful, that is alert, that is kind, that is thoughtful, that is showing our loyalty, that is showing our appreciation, and that is allowing us to continually develop, engage, and maintain the trust that we are here to deliver and to serve and not just to receive.
Love it. Okay. Hopefully you were paying attention what Genetta just shared. I think that was so golden. She really tie into the experience. And Genetta, you really work across both media and life experiences, right? So from your perspective, what really separates an event people simply attend from one event to remembering years later?
Great question. Okay. So events you attend that you remember years later as opposed to watching it. I guess let me pull in this example. So years ago, I had the blessed opportunity to work with the Super Bowl, and we were to have tickets to go to the game. It was an amazing experience, like second to nothing else in the world going to the game. After we went to the game, and I was in charge of different ads, so we saw our sponsors and everything. That was great. After the game, it just happened to be with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my husband's favorite team, and they won. So after we go to the game, we come home, and of course he DVR'd it, and he's watching the game over and over and over again. It didn't feel like the same energy watching it on TV as it was in the stadium, right? But we kind of relived those moments again, oh, I remember that part of the game, and I couldn't see because so-and-so had their hand up and their cup was in my face, and I was like, no, move it out the way. So it's that being right there on the ground. But then at home, it was just play happy. So it's the difference of really having that, I was there. I was right there. So much right there that I missed the other cues that the camera was able to pick up, right? So I think that's the difference. I think in the difference with my direct working with content creation, it's in those moments of going to an Essence Festival or Culture Con or Martha's Vineyard African American Film Festival. It's again that real time, in person IRL, in real life connection of, deeper engagement with consumers and audiences and fans where they get to share, how something made them feel or what it made them think about. And you get to take those cues and they remember that as you're putting together the final piece or the recap that's going to go out.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could totally resonate because I'm not a huge sports person, but, with FIFA, right, just being in America, and I actually had the pleasure of attending a FIFA game in person. And Genetta, I agree. When you were saying it, I was feeling it. I know exactly. I could totally resonate how that feels, right? Because just being there and all that human connection energy, I was like, wow, this is why people come to the game. This is so exciting. And I'm not a big soccer fan, but being there was so exciting. It was breathtaking. So it was so fun. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And then I watched the game on TV afterwards. So exactly like you said, I was like, it's great. I could see them up close, but the energy is missing,
Right.
I'm a new FIFA fan, that's for sure. And I'm going to be going to more live sports events. I mean, I'm definitely a lover of live events, but now it's like sports event. That's a whole different category. I love what you said about human connection, right? Because we do live in the world of AI and just like so digital. I'm kind of a little bit scared for my kids because all the exposure to AI, who knows what will happen in the next, not even just 5 years, 10 years, 30 years from now. But that's why the human connection is so important. And then what advice would you give marketers who are really looking to build stronger relationship with their audiences, Genetta?
Yeah, I think that when I think about AI, I come back to like, it is not all in. As a human, you can be all in. You can read somebody's facial expression that reacts to the question you just asked them and or the statement you just made. But when you are in person and when you are really being you, and not just, hi, I'm Genetta Robinson, media marketing executive, but hi, I'm Genetta, wife, mom, daughter, sister, friend, love to shop, enjoy going to the spa, don't know how to cook, but like eating great food, then you really can just have that, that real intuition and discernment of what you're really needing to know, what you really need to connect the dots on. So I was we have 2 girls and I was teasing with them the other day. I was just like, back when I was in school, we didn't have Google. We actually had to go look and find information. And we had to check out books from the library and we had to wait and see. We couldn't just type something that just popped up in all of our face, just had this run list of things. I said, then you're overwhelmed of like which link to click on. And so I think there are some benefits and some tools of AI of maybe getting you started in the right direction. But I hope that marketers and I hope that people don't learn to depend on it and nothing else. You still need to educate yourself. You still need to learn on yourself. You still need to read. You still need to write. Writing is one of the best tools you can have to get what's in your brain out. And then you can look at it and it's like, oh, I didn't realize I was thinking that when it came out from my brain to my hand, to the pen, to the paper, right? So AI, yes, it has its pluses, but it's not all in. It's not everything. And what happens if the signal doesn't work? What happens if the screen crashes? What happens if AI just takes a nap? Then what? You have to know, and teaching yourself and learning and engaging and making sure that you're not so dependent on this tool that is artificial. It's not authentic. It's not real. It only gives back what you pour into it. And if you're not pouring anything into it, you're not going to get exceptionally things back.
That's so great. Yeah. It's not real. You're right. And AI can't do funny yet. That's what I think that's
AI
also
can't do
another
funny.
area. Yeah. So all the comedians, your job is safe for now.
Yes, for sure.
How about looking ahead? Like, what do you hope brands will really prioritize in the next 5 years when it comes to like building relationship with people?
I hope brands prioritize the intention, yes, but more so the impact. It's great to have plans to meet your KPIs, right? Your key performance indicators. And it's great to have goals and objectives. And of course, in business, you want to see your return on investment. I also want to see my return on value. But I think for the next, forward looking and going forward for 5 years, I want brands to remember that at the end of the day, it's your product and your brand, and it should be an offering and a service to consumers in the community. How could I survive without your brand? How could I survive? How would I survive without your brand? If one of the brands is detergent, if I didn't have detergent to wash my clothes, how could I survive? But making sure that your brand knows its intention and its impact on consumers and community. And how do you get those answers? Through direct engagement, through conversation, through, yes, real life events and experiential. How's it going? What are you up to? That's a beautiful shirt you have on. Oh, and then you find out where they shop at, what time of day they go, so the line is not too long, what their price point may have been. And then you say, how can I use that to reorganize my thoughts and my thinking and my strategies so that my brand is serving even more in that area of what that person wants and what that person needs.
That's so true, right? Genetta is not just getting to them what they don't need, but really like understanding who the consumers are and what they need, how to fill their cup versus like, here's another thing that you don't need, but like, how do I do this better and make your lives easier? So I truly love that. I think that's such a wise, sage advice because we all need more of that versus just more in general. It's like quality over quantity. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and I'm just like, I need less things, but just better things, right? Just like I filter a lot better, even more so now. So I have less thing in my closet, but there are definitely
Yeah.
pieces that I'll wear all the time.
Yeah, less is more. I didn't think about like even like just content, whether you're watching on your device or sitting on your couch watching on your device or sitting on your couch watching on a bigger device that's hanging from your wall. It's it's like you're at 23 minutes or that hour and 45 minutes to really just like sink in and just really just delve into like, I don't want my brain to be working. I just want my brain to relax and enjoy. I want to smile. I want to laugh so good. It's going to make me cry. Really just love when it's like, you know what? I don't have any plans on Saturday. Oh, yes, I do have a plan. No plan is my plan on Saturday. And I'm going to sit home and I'm going to relax and I'm going to read a book. Or I'm going to watch my favorite movie. Or I'm going to, watch the show that my daughter's watching and see what she's interested in catching up on. But it's making that time, that moment so that you can just really still understand, like, what interests me? What engages me? What, again, my favorite thing, what brings me joy? What makes me happy? What makes me satisfied? And what makes them feel better or learn something they didn't know already before?
So good. I love that. My plan is no plan.
My plan is no plan.
My plan is no plan.
Yeah.
This is so great. Oh my God, Genetta, this has been such an inspiring conversation. I mean, I'm so glad you were able to make time to come here and share all this, right? Because you sing a lot and you have like such a wealth of experience with some of the top major brands. And I think my biggest takeaway, other than what I share, is just like that successful brands aren't simply trying to capture attention, but really they're about creating trust, belonging, as well as genuine relationship and human connection that really lasts long after a campaign ends. So thank you so much. And I think as you and I were having this conversation, this is something that every marketer's business leader, as well as event professional can really learn from. So thank you so much for sharing your experience today, as well as your insights.
So much fun. Thank you so much for having me. We could talk for days and days and days.
For sure. I mean, one of the episodes, we'll have to invite you back another time so you can share even more successful case studies with us because these are meaningful. I think at the end of the day, we create an event, a podcast, really as a resource, right? We want to be able to not only build a community around people that really help champion the human connection, but also learn from all the best practices. So thank you again. And we just loved our conversation.
Yay! I'm excited.
Thank you for listening. Tune in next time on Event Up.